Did you know that over 95% of people have experienced unrequited love at some point in their lives? That kind of love that is not equally reciprocated. Now, imagine that. Nearly all of us have found ourselves in a romantic feelings for someone who does not feel the same way. I want you to picture this for a second. You're standing in the middle of a desert, desperate for water, and in the distance, you see a shimmering oasis, right? So you run towards it, only to find that it's a mirage, a mere illusion. See, chasing after a love that isn't reciprocated is much like chasing that mirage. No matter how fast or how far you run to it, you'll never quench your thirst. See, true love isn't an illusion. It's a wellspring that nourishes both souls that are involved. Studies have shown that people who beg for love are more likely to experience emotional stress, anxiety, and even depression, because when you beg for love, you're not just asking for affection. You're surrendering your self-worth, handing over your dignity, and placing your happiness in the hands of someone who clearly doesn't value it. And yet, so many people find themselves stuck in this cycle, pleading for the bare minimum, waiting for a love that will, never be given freely. But I need you to hear me when I say this. If you have to beg for love, it's not true love. But before I continue, if you want to know if you should forgive someone who cheated on you, then make sure you watch this video right here after you finish watching this one. My answer, well, it might surprise you. And as always, if you get any value out of this video, then don't forget to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe if you haven't already. You see, real love is not something that you have to convince someone to give you. Love is a choice, not a negotiation. If someone, truly values you, then they will show it without you having to fight for their attention, without you having to prove your worth, without you having to diminish yourself just to be seen. The very act of begging implies imbalance. It means that one person holds all the power while the other one is left scrambling for, scraps of attention. That's not love. That's an emotional starvation. Now imagine you're like a lighthouse, right? You're a lighthouse standing tall against the stormy seas. Your light, it guides ships safe to shore. But if a ship chooses to, ignore your light and just sails away, it's not your duty to chase it across the ocean. Your responsibility is to stand firm and shine bright. And similarly, you shouldn't have to chase love. The right person, they will be drawn to your light and anchored by your side. But many of us have been taught that love is something that you earn, something that you prove yourself worthy of, something that requires sacrifice. And while love does require effort, it was never meant to be one-sided. You see, the moment that you start pleading for someone's time, affection, or commitment, you're stepping into a position of powerlessness. And that is not where, love thrives. I want you to think about this. If someone had to beg you to love them, how would that feel? Would you suddenly develop feelings for them? Or would it make you feel uncomfortable? Would it feel forced? That's exactly what happens when you have to beg for love from someone who is not willing to give it. They may give you attentions out of guilt. They may throw occasional breadcrumbs, to keep you hanging on. But deep down, they're not invested. And a love that is not freely given is a love that will never fulfill you. See, the biggest mistakes that people make is, in relationships, is that believing that if they just do more, they become more attractive. If they make more sacrifices, if they prove themselves over and over and over again, then maybe, just maybe, they will finally be loved. But love that requires you to lose yourself in order to gain someone's approval, it's not love, it's self-destruction. I like to use the example of the process of forging steel. It requires intense heat and pressure to transform raw metal into a resilient blade. However, if the metal resists the process, it remains, brittle and weak. In relationships, both individuals, they must be willing to endure challenges and grow together. If one person is uninterested, then no amount of pressure can forge a strong bond. You must understand that the way someone treats you is a direct reflection of how they feel about you. If someone truly cares, you won't have to chase them. If someone genuinely loves you, you won't have to constantly remind them, of your worth. And if someone truly sees you as valuable, then they will make sure that you never feel the need to beg. And when you beg for love, what you're really saying is, I don't believe that I'm enough as I am. And that lie, it will keep you trapped in situations that drain you. That lie will have you accepting treatment that is beneath you. That lie will convince you that you have to keep proving yourself, when in reality, the only thing you need to prove, is that you have a strength to walk away. Think of yourself like a fire, right? When a fire burns, when it burns brightly, people gather around it, right? Drawn to its warmth, its energy, its power. But when a fire starts to die, when it's left with only embers, it struggles to stay alive. That is what happens when you beg for love. You dim your own light. You exhaust yourself trying to keep, someone close. And in the process, you lose the very thing that makes you magnetic. It is my belief that the reason that you beg for love is because deep down, you do not believe that you deserve it freely. You have been conditioned to think that love must be fought for, that it must be earned through suffering, that the more pain you endure, the more valuable you are. And that's why so many people stay in toxic relationships, in unfulfilling situations, in spaces where they are only tolerated rather than cherished. But I need you to hear me out. The moment that you decide that you are enough, the moment you stop begging for love, the moment you choose yourself over someone who refuses to choose you, that is the moment that you reclaim your power. That's the moment that you shift from being a beggar to being a chooser, because love, real love, does not require you to lose yourself. It does not require you to settle. It does not require you to constantly prove your worth. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians 13:4-5, love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Nowhere in that verse does it say that love must be begged for. Nowhere does it say that love must be fought, for at the cost of your own dignity. Love, real love, it's given freely. It is kind. It does not require you to suffer just to feel a moment of warmth. Think about Jesus, right? He never begged anyone to follow him. He spoke his truth. He gave love freely, and those who were meant to walk with him came willingly. Well, the same applies to you. The right person, the right love, the love that God intended for you will not have to be begged for. So ask yourself, are you in a situation where you feel loved, cherished, or valued? Or are you constantly wondering where you stand, constantly pleading for attention, constantly, feeling like an afterthought? Because if you have to beg, you're not in a relationship. You're in a one-sided emotional transaction, and that will never fulfill you. But today, right now, you have a choice. You can either keep waiting, keep begging, keep convincing yourself that one day it will change, or you can stand up, push your chair back, and just leave the table where love's not being served, because you deserve better. You deserve real love. And real love does not need to be begged for. The moment that you accept that, it's the moment that you decide to never again plead for someone to choose you. You step into your power. You step into the love that you were meant to receive. And most importantly, you step into a version of yourself that, no longer settles for less than what it deserves. So I'm going to challenge you today. If you're begging for love, stop. Stop chasing. Stop convincing. Stop lowering yourself just to be seen. Let him go, because real love, it doesn't run. Real love stays, fights for you, chooses you, and reciprocates without hesitation. And if you have to beg for it, I promise you, it was never love to begin with. If you got any value out of this video, then the YouTube algorithm says that you also get value out of this videos right here. Oh, and by the way, don't forget to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you in one of these videos right here. Have a blessed day.